What's up, everybody? Welcome to On the Ropes. This is the recap of some of the fights from the weekend. I'm Pat Healy, joined by the Silk, Michael Olajide.
What's up, everyone?
And starting off, we're going to give a recap on the ESPN card, INOUE versus Maloney and Michaela Mayer in BRODNICKA. Starting with the co-main event, we'll go to the women's fight. Michaela Mayer getting the unanimous decision win, now a world champion. What were your thoughts on, I guess, her performance and, maybe what's next for her in the women's game?
I don't mean to be this way, and I'm not being this way to be controversial or anything, but I still think that women's boxing isn't quite there. In terms of the technical skill, I know she's skilled. And there are a lot of girls out there with skills that are current champions that are, and there have been in the past, such as Wolf and there's been some that are real killers that really know how to punch. But there's just something about on average when you see them fight, the technical part of the game isn't quite there because they haven't been around long enough. It's not saying they won't get there. There's going to be a point where a female fighter will be every bit, on average, I'm saying on average, there are exceptions, but on average, they're technically going to be as good as a male. They just need to have been in it for a longer time. And I think it's kind of like when you take the sport of MMA, for instance, MMA, go back to early starts of it and you see people fighting, and then you put them in there with the guys that are fighting today, and it's a total different breed. That's what I'm saying. With women's boxing, it's new, it's fresh still, relatively, and you look at it now and you just see so much potential, so much gold out there. I want to see things like them turning their punches over properly and pulling their punches back and not just throwing a bunch of punches that don't really have the right intent behind them. That's what male boxing has right now over female boxing. I think female boxing will get in soon because there's much more interest coming in with this young lady who just won the world title, you know what I mean? So I think the potential for it is great. I don't think it's there right now still, but having said that, it was impressive to go in the ring and to be able to go in there and win a title. You know what I mean? You're a champ.
Right. And I think your comparison with MMA makes a lot of sense. I think, the women's game is growing very fast. We have stars like Michaela Mayer from last night, of course, Clarissa Shields, and, many other names that are rising up and really getting those main events or co-main events on, prime time TV. So I think the future is bright for the women's game. I didn't like how they didn't have the belt for her once she won the title. That was very strange. Al Mitchell was a little harsh, I thought, as well.
That was really kind of harsh on her, but I guess maybe it's something, they have a relationship with one another and they know what's up. I'm sure he didn't mean to rain on her parade and down her in front of all those people. But yeah, I could see how that would be a little bit heavy, but she's such a sweetheart. She was, Mayor. She took it in stride and she said, well, he's never really happy with my performances. And, so maybe it's a fuel. It's a fuel that she's going to use to fire her next few performances.
Yeah. Overall, she's a title holder now. Maybe she'll look to unify with Terry Harper. She mentioned that. So exciting fights to be made in the future. And overall, I think a good night for her. People got the eyes on her, and she's got some more steam behind her with the promotion and everything. So overall, good showing.
Yeah, and I think, with Al, in defense of him and also in defense of her, he's in the gym with her every day. He's seen what she can do. He's seen what she can do in the ring and sparring and possibly in other fights, and they went through an intensive work training camp. And it's frustrating for a trainer when you have your fighter, you focus on them doing just one thing and get it done, and then they go into the fight and they do something absolutely different. I think that's what his frustration was, and I can understand that from a trainer's perspective because he wants her to shine. And not only because it looks good on him, but it looks great on her too. So he knows what her potential is. He doesn't see her live up to that potential, so he becomes upset by that. And I could totally understand that. And I'm sure she understands that as well. That maybe, when he got in the ring with that girl, offset her timing because, she's the real thing. She was a world champ, and she was doing things that nobody could emulate in sparring. And no matter what Al said, when that punch is coming at your face, it's a total different beast. So I think, I can see both sides of why he would be upset and why she wouldn't be able to capitalize on his game plan. But, I think that'll lead to a better future for them.
Right.
As long as he's not too critical of her and he sort of like continues to coax it out of her, they'll be fine.
Yeah. So the best is yet to come for Michaela Mayer. Good performance for her, and she's definitely a person to keep your eye on. But moving forward, into that main event with the monster INOUE, and I think he really delivered. I mean, he had the knockout in the 7th round. He looked very fast. His counter punching looked amazing. Timothy Bradley and Andre Ward had great things to say about him. They have him in the top 5 pound for pound. I don't know what your thoughts about that is, if he gets that high praise or how would you assess him?
Yeah, I think he could be pound for pound in today's category. He certainly could be. I've always got to reflect back to the golden ages of boxing, the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s. I go back to those times because that's when boxing, you're seeing everybody, and the competition wasn't just like the champion and the number 1 contender. It's like the guy that's number 15 could end up winning and being the champion. That's, the guy rated 15 in the world could certainly come in and displace the champ. And so when you have your pound for pounds, you have like back in the 70s and 80s, you're talking about all-time greats that are lined up like from 1 to 10. So it's a different thing we're going on now. So yes, in today's standards, yes, he is. I guess he is pound for pound one of the best. But I'd like to see. And you got that stern test, and he passed it with flying colors, with the decision win.
Over Donaire, yep.
Over Donaire. So let's see what the future holds for him. He's got a few fights to. I'm not sure the level of competition in the bantamweights.
Yeah.
But he may have to go north if he's going to look for some competition to really, stake his claim.
Right.
Pat, when you're the champ, and which he is right now, and you don't have depth in your division, you're going to have to make, you're going to have to do things. You either go down to fight somebody or you step up. Most likely you're going to have to step up. And when you step up, then you're giving up advantages. But that seals your greatness. So he's going to have to do something great to prove that he is great. Whether he's pound for pound in today's boxing field, I think is, it's conjectural. It's up to anything. But if you want to seal your greatness, you're going to have to do something great. You can't just beat everybody at 119 and nobody knows who's in there at that division. So it's going to be interesting. But yes, he is a talent. Yes. Yeah,
very, very talented. And I think also, alongside kind of Michaela Mayer in a similar way, a great showcase to the American fans. That's what he wanted coming over from Japan, getting that primetime slot on ESPN, and hopefully carrying a lot of new fans with him. And a guy like you said, I think has the ability to go up in weight. Although he's not very big, he's extremely fast and he's very powerful for those lighter weights. So it'll be interesting to see what his next move is. But good performance by him, right? He got the stoppage. He did what he was supposed to do.
He really did. And boy, can he hit hard. When you're talking about power, pound for pound, he hits as hard as anybody, in any weight division. If he hits you as a guy 119 pounds, you can turn a punch over and put a 10 count on somebody, or even just drop him seriously and the referee has to stop the fight. That's someone who can crack, and he'll be able to carry that power wherever he goes. He'll be dangerous until he is counted out or whatever it is. Someone's going to have to really, put the running shoes on and not stay in front of him and peck and poke and kind of try to steal a decision win out of a kid like this, because this kid's for real. He can reach.
Yeah, beautiful right hand for the finish. It was just he didn't wind up at all, right? He just shot it right in, and it was devastating. Maloney was, even when he got back to his feet, he didn't look all right.
When you're talking about power, there are different types of punchers, and we've talked about them before, but there's some guys that are heavy-handed. There's some guys that can turn their body weight with their punch. There's some people that kind of lock their body and they're able to transfer that power. And I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen him enough. And there's some guys that the speed is their power. I'm not quite sure what this kid is yet. I have to take a look at him more, but But I mean, he's
got your attention though.
yeah, he's keeping people down for a count. So he's heavy. He's definitely heavy-handed, and he's got something else going on there. Maybe he's got a horseshoe in that right hand.
Yeah, yeah, he's got something going on. And Bradley and Andre, they had really high praise for him, and they're calling him different as well. So he's got the attention of the fans. He captured some people last night, I thought, with that win. So great win for him. Great win for Michaela Mayer. 2 stars.
Question. What about him? I'm sorry. I know he needs to go to other things, but why do you think they want to take him out of his element, which is in Japan, right? Why would they take him out of his element and bring him over to the States instead of having the States bring the States over to him? Like, I don't understand when promoters do that, because you're taking him out of his home field advantage. Home games are the best games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when you're on familiar turf. You bring them to you, and that's what you want to do. I mean, unless you're talking Vegas, when it's really, when it's really meaning something. When you have, like, there's no COVID and there's 20-30,000 people packing the place. I understand that, but or when you're doing a super fight. But at this level, when he's fighting the guys that he's fighting, you're not fighting on where the playing field is 50-50. You want to fight your hometown and continue to develop that, your country's support behind you. So I don't quite understand that mentality, but I'm not a promoter either or a manager, so maybe he's got something under his sleeves that we don't know. I don't know if a USA takeover is possible for him. It's conjectural. There's so many things up for that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, I think it'll be interesting what they do with him in the future. I think this was a good introduction to some U.S. fans, but I hope and I think that their plans will be to bring him back to Japan, especially when we get more fans back in there and continue to build that base. But, a tremendous night on ESPN with Top Rank. They did a great job. Michaela Mayer, like I said, is a rising star in the women's game, and then INOUE did what he's supposed to do. And, he's captured a lot of people's interest now. So it'll be interesting. I hope you guys all enjoyed this breakdown of the INOUE Michaela Mayer doubleheader last night on ESPN. This was On the Ropes. Let's go. Appreciate it, guys. Peace.
Ciao.